This is my BMW 340i. Once a wreck and now a warrior. But today it's time to unleash its full potential. This isn't just an upgrade, it's a game changer. A turbo this massive doesn't just push the boundaries, it shatters them. If you don't know, this car has been through hell. A front end wreck, a struggling transmission, endless hours in the garage, and now we're taking it to the edge. This isn't just about speed, it's simply about proving what's possible when you refuse to give up. But here's the catch. We're going to be doing all this on the car, tuning it, driving it for the first time, all in 24 hours. And why? Well, I'll explain later. This is going to be a massive project because we're pretty much throwing out the stock exhaust manifold and the stock turbo system along with the electrical wastegate setup and throwing in a whole new wastegate system, a new exhaust manifold, and the best part of all, a new location for the turbo, which is on the very top. But ultimately, this upgrade will allow us to push the car to over 600 wheel horsepower. And here we go. Here's the whole turbo you guys already saw. And well, here is the entire top mount turbo kit. And we do have to give a massive thank you to SpeedTech. If you need any turbo system for your any type of BMW, hit them up. They make the best top mount kits. And I ran a very similar kit on my old BMW 335i, and it was simply incredible. So we had to go back to SpeedTech and do it again. This time on the legendary B58 platform. But before we get to the unboxing, we have a very special mechanic that's actually helping us out with the entire thing. I'm so happy.
Hi, so I heard you need help.
Oh, you're the mechanic.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, shout out to my wife. So do you have experience doing like single turbo kits and things like that?
Yeah, I actually did one last week.
Oh, you did? On what car?
On my 340i twin turbo. Really great that they packed this in because we actually need this. And this bad boy here. Ooh. Oh, this is part 2. This is the same thing, but without that black carbon fiber. The smaller cousin of that system. You see these?
Yeah.
We're gonna.
Why?
You gotta lock it in.
Oh, okay.
So this one is what you see from the outside. It goes. And we're not going over the names because you should already know what it is. Like, I already know what it is.
How?
Ooh, this is a big bad boy here.
What is that for?
So this, you see this? It's like an accordion.
A what?
An accordion?
Okay.
And so the air doesn't stay stuck. Very coily. This one's pretty cool. Extra tight so it doesn't fall off.
I really am learning a lot, to be honest. So thank you so much for coming out today and
That's good.
really helping us understand
I'll
better.
send you the quote later.
How crazy is it that we have all this in front of me? Over here we have a 6466 PSR turbo. It is a ball bearing. Obviously here we have the manifold, but I believe this all the way over here is the downpipe. They sent us out a new charge pipe. I mean, we pretty much have everything. Here we went with a tile wastegate. Obviously we're not using the electric wastegate this car operates boost with. So that means we do have a full motive reflex kit, which we're going to talk about way later after we install a turbo kit because we don't have that much time. This is an absolute dream come true. Here we go. The first thing we have to do is disconnect this $155 eBay intake. Disconnect everything. Disconnect the charge pipe.
So now you just have to lefty loosey, righty tighty.
Go.
Look.
You're fired.
Woo, nice.
See this air filter?
Nice.
Oh, nice.
And funny enough, exactly where this intake is sitting is where the new turbo is gonna go. Sheesh. And check it out, we can fully see where the stock turbo is sitting, which obviously we have to remove.
Do you have to take this out?
No, we don't have to remove that.
So you just go under it?
No, we take it out from up here.
Oh.
Yep. What's really funny is that if we were to go down memory lane with this car and we were diagnosing the problem with the transmission, there's one thing that really helped us figure out what the issue was, and we didn't really talk about it much. It wasn't the snap-on that we used, it was today's sponsor, Carly. This helped us diagnose what was wrong with the transmission for this car that let it sit for 2 years. The only issues that came back up regarding the transmission and the gear selector was a 3 transmission fault. Actual wheel speed, EWS manipulation attempt, and driver's wish P exit was prevented by EWS. And how did this very affordable OBD2 scanner help us solve the issue? Well, it was thanks to its dealership level diagnostic. Now Carly is very simple. All you have to do is go down here, plug it into the OBD2 port, it starts flashing. Pull out your smartphone device, download the Carly app. Now as you're seeing here, we got diagnostics, coding, and you can even do a used car check. But right now this is diagnostics. So you can see these have a smart mechanic, which is power management standby. If you click on smart mechanic, potential consequences, smart mechanic expert guide, and it gives you a whole description of symptoms, potential causes of the error, check causes for the error, and it searches on Google the code with a bunch of articles. It also has a coding feature, and we need to code something on this car that I desperately need. Coding: the start and stop function on eco mode needs to be off. As you guys know, I love saving gas. I'm currently at 19.1 miles per gallon, but every time I go on eco mode and I stop at a stoplight, I keep forgetting the car turns off. So now it's gonna stop doing that, and you can code a lot more things. So once again, thank you so much to Carly for sponsoring this video and so many other videos. They're always a massive supporter of the channel. I literally have a Carly in every single car, and if you don't have a diagnostics yet, or you have one, trust me, this one is better than the one you currently have. Click the link in the description. Use code DannyZ to get 15% off. And with that being said, let's get back to the turbo install. By the way, this is my first ever time installing a top mount kit on these newer BMWs. I'm praying that it's easier since it's easier to take out the stock turbo, but in reality, I don't really know what I'm doing. Which is pretty much a story of my life and everything I've ever done. I literally just jump into things and learn as I go by experience and by obviously doing a little bit of research. But time to take off the turbo inlet. We really need to remove this turbo inlet because it won't allow the turbo to come out. It'll get stuck in place. And weirdly enough, it was giving us a lot of trouble to remove. So we had to do something I typically don't do. This usually solves it. Why is it so hard on there? Oh, nice. Let's go. And now you can really see the cold side of the turbo, but right under that is where the stock charge pipe from the car connects into the turbo, which we also have to remove. What's the next thing we gotta do?
And we gotta take out the turbo.
Still got the turbo?
Yeah.
You take out
Take out the turbo.
I said, well, I want to go test ride.
What was?
I'm okay. I don't think the throttle body's okay.
Oh, you had already gotten it.
Did I really?
Yeah, you got it.
Oh.
Here, the next one.
It's so scary.
Nice. Look at that. She's doing absolutely awesome. And I really have to say thank you because she doesn't have to help at all. She has so much going on with school and everything. But the fact that she still makes time to have fun and be part of the videos is truly special. But something I'm not thankful for is this charge pipe. It simply does not want to come off at all. Even though we were able to remove the clip that keeps it in place, it's still stuck. So we had to do the forbidden method once again. It still didn't work. Jeez.
Are you pulling up or are you pulling out?
Pulling out. But then the wife said this.
You can just pull off the metal part.
And after fully pulling off the metal part, she's a genius. I'm paying you how much? $1 an hour? We're gonna have to give you a raise.
I don't think that's. I'm gonna take.
We're gonna have to give you a raise.
Talking to
How
HR.
does $2 an hour sound?
I don't know.
Time to loosen up the O2 sensors because if you know anything, loosening it outside of the car could be a pain. And we do have to remove the downpipe for the turbo to come off. Boom. We gotta get the one that's all the way back there. I don't know if we reached though. Oh my gosh, it does reach. Nice. If you're new here, you may not know, but Crystal and I run a brand called Driven Legends. And we used to do monthly drops. Well, it's been a very long time since we do a drop. As a lot of you may know, we packed and shipped the orders from here at the house, and it was just a lot of work getting all this content. Crystal has school and shipping orders. But we decided we're going to be doing another drop. Turn around. Yo, we got the X5M along with the 340i. That is so clean. And you guys probably saw me earlier in this video wear my shirt in black. We have shirts, hoodies, whatever. We're not gonna be shipping it out ourselves. We're using a whole fulfillment center. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, but they're gonna be up on the website. I know a lot of you want to support, and well, now's your chance to grab a hoodie, a shirt, or whatever you want. I actually love how these shirts fit. This is a medium, okay? I am 5'7", 5'6", 160 pounds, and this fits so good. I mean, I love this shirt. And let's not forget the hats. Come on now, this thing looks awesome. If you guys want to support the channel, you know where to get the merch. I know every single one of you messages me every single day. Danny, where's merchandise? Well, it got really overwhelming, but I know you guys really want to support the channel and wear my merchandise all over the country or the world. So here's your chance. Cop some Driven Legend shirts with the X5M and the 340i in the back, baby. And tag me on Instagram at RealDannyZ or at Driven Legends. Everything was going great, but we have an issue. And this is something I found out a couple days ago, but now I can really see perfectly what's happening. Come over here. These cars are as reliable as it gets, but of course I'm Danny, so my water pump went bad and it's leaking. I found like this size of a drop of coolant on the ground the other day, but now I can really confirm that this water pump right here is indeed leaking. Let's see. Yep, look at that. See that? That's coolant right there. Oh man, look how much coolant. And the bad thing, today's Sunday. No dealership's parts department is open right now. So now I can't really finish today, so we're gonna have to put a stop. I'm gonna put the turbo in and all that, but I won't be putting in the inlet because I do want to do the water pump before I put everything back together because that thing is leaking. And well, yeah, we don't want a leaking water pump when we just did a whole turbo kit and stuff like that. We want this car to be 100%. That seems to be the only issue I've had so far. And if you want to see me replacing the water pump, that will be on the top secret second channel, Danny Lee, and it's going to be linked in the description. One very last thing before we start disconnecting this turbo, and it is removing all the coolant and oil line from the turbo so it can come off and not get stuck. Here it goes. And now the last thing, the 7 10mm nuts that are holding in the turbo. Number 1, number 2. We got it. Let's go. Boom. And the awesome thing about these turbos from factory is there's only bolts at the top. Come out. That's still on there. What am I missing? All the bolts are out. Did I hit it with a hammer? Did I just hit it with a hammer? I really need to stop thinking every solution is hit it with a hammer.
I don't think you're doing anything.
Women.
But quickly after getting under the car, I found a massive issue. There's a bracket holding on the turbo to the car. It's still on. Yeah, the turbo's not going anywhere if this thing is still attached to the whole engine.
I'm loosening it.
And this time it did need a little bit of hammering because it was stuck in place. Oh, that's off. That's off. Forgot to disconnect something. Thankfully I noticed because I would have broken everything. That line that's coming from the back bolts up right there. So we're gonna take that off and then the turbo should, but I mean it's off though. Look at that, it's off. It's off, like, you know, nothing crazy, you know, just a single turbo.
Casual.
I mean, you do this every day.
All the time.
There we go. Look at that. Look at that. Woo! Yes! We did it. Let's go. Well, now I'm by myself. Crystal has to go study because school starts tomorrow. Love you. Yeah, you guys aren't getting a kiss on camera. But here we go. Look at this awesome side-by-side comparing the smaller stock turbo to the big top mount turbo. It's that time, and it's 2025, so this is the first set of flags that we're putting up. You guys know on this channel we put up 5 flags every single video to represent where you guys are from, so always comment where you're from, where you're watching from. I'm from Cuba and I live in the US. Oh man, this is so cool. Now you get a really good look at what the stock one looks like compared to the one we're putting on. And now first things we're doing right off the bat is setting up the wastegate. For this setup, we decided to throw on 12-pound springs. And to put it back together, you gotta line up the holes and screw in the Allen bolts. But what does a wastegate really do? As you know, the turbo makes boost, bringing in more cold air into the engine. Well, when the boost reaches the certain level you're aiming, the wastegate opens, so the turbo doesn't overboost and, well, blow up your engine. But as simple as that may sound, you need to make sure you set things up properly. Because your engine can blow up, you won't make any boost, or you have other issues. So we really had to put in a good amount of hours overnight to know how to set up the wastegate properly, route the line to the max solenoid, which we'll be seeing later, and just wire everything up properly. If you're wondering how much time we have left, well, 21 hours, almost 20 hours. But I figured it out, and I think we're going to be okay from now on. So let's get going. I ended up painting the brass fittings black because I think it'll be a nicer look than the gold. But first things we have to do is get a boost reference. Most people drill into the turbo and get boost reference from there. I really did not want to drill into the turbo right now, so thankfully the charge pipe brings inlets. So we're going to be using one of them as boost reference. But what exactly is boost reference? Well, it's pretty much a signal that's pressurized and tells you the pressure that the turbo's making. And that is why we're wrapping all these lines with Teflon. We do not want any leaking going on. And just like that, the wastegate is done. One air port at the top of the wastegate and one air port at the bottom of the wastegate. And all the other air ports we're not using are plugged up, so we don't have any leakage. And one thing is, we want to leave it loose, so when we put it back in the car, we can put it to the right spot, and obviously we can go from there. But man, this is so cool. But before we throw on the new manifold, we have to take advantage of all the space we have and start plugging up the holes that we're not using. And that includes this coolant port hole we almost absolutely wrecked out of the car. And if you're wondering how I'm transitioning or going through this smoothly, I'm not. But for sure, this very detailed guide from SpeedTech that actually gave you with the kit is helping a ton. Like, yes, I've done this before, but I have short-term memory loss, and I promise you I don't remember anything. But now it is time to throw on the studs. The turbo's gonna go on and connect the turbo to the manifold. Woo! We're almost there. Massive moment. Time to throw on the manifold, and after the manifold, well, the turbo ski. Oh, and this is so much better to move around compared to the stock turbos we took out. Oh, so we're using the same technique, which is set it in here first in the grooves, and then you can, yep, just like that. I gotta put this in here. Oh, don't fall, don't fall. Think. Is this how it goes? No. Just look how awesome that's looking. What? Are you kidding me? Is this actually my car? I mean, what? Honestly, it's so hard to believe this is the same car that we found abandoned next to someone's house. But in some awesome news, we found the original owner that originally crashed the car. And let's just say we're gonna be meeting up soon to really hear his side of the story and how everything happened. But in comes the big boy Terpski. Okay, it is time. And right now the turbo's all like loose because we had to loosen up everything so we can position it correctly. So here we go. Oh my gosh, there it is. Oh. There it is, y'all. There it is. Wow. So now we got everything placed. So I'm gonna tie in just probably 1 or 2 bolts from the back side. Then we're gonna take it fully off and then tie in everything, then put it back on. And we're gonna leave this side loose so we can route the charge pipe and all that fun stuff. Here we go. Hey, nice, look at that. That Terpski's in there, baby. What a great start to the year, y'all. What a great start. This thing looks beautiful on there. Although I'm not gonna lie, it will never look as good as the N54 because there's so much going on, but it looks awesome. Yeah, let me know, what is your guys' favorite engine of all time? And why? Is it because of how it looks, the sound, or the car that it's in? And let me tell you, it's extremely difficult to bolt down this turbo. You have to pull up the turbo to make enough room for the nut to fit in between the stud and the turbo housing. It's actually insane. And then when you get the nut in, you have to go centimeter by centimeter with the smallest wrench you have. And now that the turbo's in place, we can start routing the oil lines, starting with the turbo drain line, which uses the same location as the stock turbo, which is at the bottom of the block. And the oil feed goes at the very top of the turbo and it is connected to one of the lines on the block. Whoa. I just made a really big mistake. This is supposed to go to the oil port because it feeds the turbo oil. Unfortunately, they made a really big mistake. I blocked off the oil and left the coolant open, which means if I had connected this line to the coolant port when I started up the car and the turbo was spooling, it would have fed coolant directly to the turbo and, well, probably grenaded. So thank God we caught that. Jeez, thank God I decided to stick a finger in the hole, because if I didn't, we would have found out the hard way.
What do you mean by that?
But now with all the lines and the turbo in place, we can start routing out the charge pipe. Another very important piece of the puzzle thankfully arrived in time. This is a max solenoid. This is pretty much what regulates the boost in a way for turbocharged vehicles, because as you guys know, we're not using the electronic one that BMW has. So what this little electronically controlled pneumatic valve does is pretty much regulate the boost pressure sent from the turbo to the wastegate. And then this goes connected to the boost controller, which we're gonna talk about when I'm installing that, and that's how everything talks to each other. That looks good though. That looks good. That looks good. Yeah. What you think? Yeah, that does look good. That does look good. Honestly, it is insane that this car is single turbo. You're building the dream 340i. I know you're a very simple guy. You don't really, but man, this is sick. This is sick. I'm really happy you're doing this. I'm really thinking the best spot to store this whole rat's nest we're about to create is gonna be in here. I think the max solenoid in here will be clean, as well as the boost controller and all that. You guys will see that later, but I think here's the spot. This might be the spot. But before we even get into anything, I know I did these two lines, but we're just gonna leave this for now. Let's do the downpipe, wastegate, tying everything up, so then we know how to route the lines so these hoses don't burn and wires don't melt. And since we know this turbo is going to generate a ton of heat, aside from the turbo guard, we should also wrap the downpipe, which is exactly what we're doing. And it's not too difficult. It doesn't take a ton of time, and well, we're also going to be meeting it up with the rest of the downpipe, which was kind of a pain to do. And that is the full downpipe all the way from the turbo to the exhaust. And we're also leaving this a little loose because I'm sure we're gonna have to twist it to make sure it fits properly. And now we can pretty much throw it in the car. Here we go. Oh, it's hitting the manifold. Okay. Turns out this downpipe is not fitting at all. But if it's not working from the top down, let's try it from the bottom up.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Okay. I was genuinely starting to worry because if we have a bad fitting downpipe, that's just not fun for anybody. But thankfully, Speed Tech makes quality and it fit just fine. And now we can finish up doing the rest of the charge pipe and start routing everything. Time left, 13 hours and 12 minutes. Now, I did make the mistake of whenever I took a break to go eat, sit down for a couple minutes, or maybe up to an hour or whatnot, I didn't stop the timer, but I'm praying and I think we're gonna be able to do it in time. But so far, checklist. Exhaust manifold on, turbo on, charge pipe fully on and met up with the turbo. Wastegate fully tightened, downpipe on the turbo and on the exhaust. The only thing I just remember I forgot to do is install the wastegate dump, but very, very simple. It'll take like 5 minutes. But aside from that and this whole mess here, look how good this looks. Are you kidding me? Oh man, I cannot wait to finally drive this car. Oh my gosh. Okay, for us to hear that sound, we first gotta finish. So let's get going. And now we can talk about the reflex. The amount of things we can do with this little device are endless. It's going to be our boost controller. It's also an auxiliary fuel control, so if we ever decide to go port injection, it'll control the extra injectors. It also has flex fuel integration, which we are going to be running flex fuel up to E85. And that goes wired with this rat's nest. But thankfully everything's labeled, so it should not be that hard of an install. The hardest part is probably going to be routing everything and making it look decent. And I found just the right spot for the reflex unit, right in here under the tray. You really won't see anything. Okay, I think I found a solution to make this whole rat's nest just a little bit better. My plan is to have the box in here. I'm going to hide how the cables or how the wires get up in here. And that is by making a nice hole right here. And then everything from the engine bay and the transmission can go right under here and into the cubby without ever being seen. If we do this, there's no going back. Also, check out my makeshift thing that I had to do because I can't find my drill. Yeah, that didn't work at all. This should work a lot better. Let's go. But now we can do this. Everything will be tucked in here. And when we put this cover on, obviously much nicer, you can't really tell. Let's go. BMW, if you're hiring, just please let me know. I charge around $3,000 an hour, not that much. And to route the sensor down there, I have a good idea. We're going to be wrapping it in hard wire. And when getting under the car, we pull on it and it should. Yep, there it is right there. But what was not easy was this crank sensor. I mean, just look at the location of it. No, it's not that harness going up. The sensor itself and the harness, you cannot see it. This is beyond painful. The crank sensor is right up there. To be able to actually see it, we need to remove this bracket. It's being held on by these hex bolts and T-torque sockets.
How did they think that was okay to even put it in the game?
And it was a nightmare. One, there's no space to get up there at all. No room for filming. This is literally me complaining, not realizing my microphone's off. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, I did it! Oh my goodness, it's out. But like everything in life, if you keep trying, you'll eventually get there. Next time we gotta start cleaning up the PCV system. Since we're not running the stock turbo inlet or any of that, so we're pretty much capping everything off. And now it's time to start routing the pressure hoses from the charge pipe to the max solenoid and the max solenoid to the wastegate. It's a little hard to explain, so this is the chart that I looked at as reference. Slight change of plans. I previously mentioned the max solenoid would sit somewhere in here. Well, after routing the hoses, this and that, I came to a conclusion. This is the best spot to mount it. Obviously not with a purple zip tie, but this location is simply the best. And as for wiring up the max solenoid, there's 2 wires. And as I mentioned previously, the Reflex provides outputs, including one that's perfect for the max solenoid. It provides a ground and a 12-volt switched source. Even though we're still waiting for the high pressure fuel pump, injectors and whatnot, now's a good time to install the Flex Fuel kit. This is a Flex Fuel sensor. It'll monitor the amount of ethanol we have in the car. These are all the fittings that connect to the sensor and back to the stock fuel system. And this is a sensor that reads the pressure on the lower pressure of the fuel system. And after doing some serious brainstorming and looking up some information online, this is relatively how it's supposed to sit. Well, it is time to disconnect the battery because the fuel system for these cars is always pressurizing itself. And if it sees that I disconnect the fuel line because I'm trying to connect an ethanol sensor, it'll squirt fuel over my face. Pause. But first, let's fully release the pressure because we don't want this to happen. And this is the fuel line that we're going to be tapping into. And this plug goes into the ethanol sensor, which comes out of the Reflex wiring harness. But unfortunately, we ran into another issue. No. Apparently, the stock fuel system is 5/16 and the lines are ordered are 3/8.
My disappointment is immeasurable.
Well, looks like we wasted a couple $100 in fittings. They're all the wrong size. The only good thing is we're not doing the fuel system today. So we got lucky on that. But for now, let's push everything aside and let's keep going. I guess we gotta keep pushing forward, right? Shout out to TJ. But it is time to finish connecting the reflex. And I think we just got into the most difficult part of it all.
Oh my gosh. We really are deep in this project now. Like, there's no going back.
This is where things get very tricky, and if you're not paying attention and taking your time, you can really mess up pins. We're pretty much de-pinning wires from very important plugs in this car and re-pinning them to the reflex harness.
I think this is the last D pin. Here we go. Is that pin number 24? Yes, it is. Okay.
It is done, but not quite. And when I say not quite, I'm not talking about obviously looking over everything, making sure everything's good, it's tight, it's good to go. I'm talking about the tuning. As you guys know, last time I touched the tuning program by myself, I literally blew up a motor.
What was that?
I left the injectors on the whole time, and then I hydrolocked it. But we have to give a massive thank you to David Shoop, Shoop Tuning. Shout out to him and Sebastian. David is going to be the one tuning this car. Why? Well, highly recommended, great guy, and very, very good at what he does. And last time we put a BMW in the dyno, it made over 600 wheel horsepower, and it was absolutely epic. So he's going to be the perfect fit for this build. So, with that being said, massive thank you to David, but we have to get the laptop out. Not just get the laptop, we had to go through a whole tuning session. That includes downloading Tuner Pro, which I have no idea what it is, along with the Motive Reflex, so then we can update the Motive Reflex software and a whole bunch of stuff. But even though the Motive Reflex seems to be working great, as you can see, there's a little green light. USB not recognized, malfunction. Sir, I'm gonna need you to recognize it. One of these has to work. Right? Clearly connected, but at heart, disconnected. I mainly think these aren't connecting because they don't have a data transferring feature. It was more just to charge phones, but the fact that this uses a micro USB, it's really not helping. No one really has these cables around anymore. Okay, I found this one.
Oh! Does that mean it's good? Does that mean recognize it? Oh! Oh!
I can definitely take a deep breath after that one. I thought something was fully wrong, but we're finally able to connect to the Motive Reflex.
Few moments later.
Normally, I wouldn't record any of this. I would just cut to me starting the car, being all happy. But I am literally my own biggest enemy, and I make the dumbest mistakes of all time. So while setting up the program, everything's working. Boom, car dies. So now I'm in a situation. Car is dead, and even though I got the battery tender on, every single time I turn on the ignition, it stays on for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and then it dies. We have an hour and 53 minutes left. The car's telling me to start, that the battery's discharged, but we can't because no tune is on it. As you're seeing, I turn on the ignition, and then 5-10 seconds later, the car just shuts off. It's funny how the car's telling me to start it, but it doesn't let me go in auxiliary mode to at least be able to flash it. So here's the plan. I'm really hoping it's nothing electronically, so I might literally just have to wait until it fully charges overnight, but we have an hour and 51 minutes left. I think we failed the challenge. I really thought this was going to be a quick 24-hour challenge and that we were going to be able to do it way ahead of time. But that's just the car life. One little issue turns into a couple hours, and then another issue turns into more hours, and next thing you know, what you thought was going to be a 30-minute job turned into 5 hours. Here's the verdict. The car stayed charging overnight, and well, it didn't really charge at all. So we're gonna prime the turbo, and then we're gonna hear the official first startup, and then we'll figure out the whole tuning when the car is charged. Here we go. This is definitely not how I thought the first start was gonna go. I don't think it's going to run great just because we haven't tuned it for this setup yet, but let's disconnect all the coil packs, all the injectors, prime the turbo, and then we can go to the first start. All right, here we go. Probably gonna crank it for like 10, 15 seconds. That should be good. Thankfully, we can pretty much see everything from up here. Oil line is good. Pretty sure the turbo has oil in it now. It's time for the first startup. All right, here we go, here we go, here we go. Oh my gosh!
What? It's spooling, all right. Oh my gosh.
I just cannot believe this car's running this good without even a tune. And look at this, not even a check engine light. Are you kidding me?
Valves are closed, but man. Yes. Yes.
Perfect.
And of course, zero leaking, by the way. Look at this thing. There's just something about a turbo that makes me so happy. Look how incredible that looks in there. Just imagine this car coming out of factory with the turbo up here. That would be legendary. But even though that's not possible, we made it possible. The exhaust is smoking a good amount. But I think that's normal just because we have a whole new downpipe, whole new manifold. And new exhaust systems usually tend to smoke quite a bit in the beginning. But either way, it was on for like 10-15 minutes. No check engine lights. Coolant was bleeding properly. I think now we can jump to the tuning. We're flashing. Okay, I think we're flashing. Here we go. Hopefully it doesn't take that long. Because this car is not on a battery tender, which is the first thing they tell you when you're tuning a car. Make sure it is plugged in. And if this car decides to die once again while it's tuning, it'll pretty much break the ECU and really ruin our day, week, and possibly month.
Oh, Lord.
I'm so anxious right now and nervous. 20 seconds. Success! Let's go! Oh my goodness. That was scary. All right, now we can peacefully know that the car drives. We just gotta connect the reflex. That's the easiest part in a way. Here we go, y'all. It's the first time. You can really hear that turbo. Oh my gosh. I feel like we're literally in an airplane that's about to take off. Oh my God! Okay, it was weird there. It kind of like bogged. Oh, it's cutting up now. Oh, it's really cutting up. Oh my goodness. And it smells like fuel. Why does it smell like fuel? Yeah, it really smells like fuel. We gotta get to the house. I am having an internal freak out right now. Oh, we gotta get in the house. We gotta get in the house right now. Look how fast it just drove up the driveway. They didn't even care the front lip got ripped off. Oh! Oh my goodness, the fuel line came apart.
Oh my gosh.
Both fuel lines didn't meet up and seal correctly because of this little plastic wrap they threw on from factory. And after cutting it off, well, the issue's fixed.
She don't believe in shooting.
But there's someone very special we have to show the car to. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?
Oh, let's see it. That looks so good though.
Oh, it's sick. Does that look?
Wow. It's hot, right?
Yeah, and it sounds amazing.
Wow. I'm gonna take this off because I gotta hear it.
You ready for the whee?
Oh my goodness, wow.
crazy. Seeing that smile made this all worth it. She loves it, I love it, and man, this was truly all worth it. Out of 10?
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Look at you.
Came to Sebastian's house. I have to hear this car from the outside. I just have to. Oh my god! That's ridiculous! Wow!
Battery discharge, start the engine.
My brother in Christ, if it's discharged,